2000, I believe. So
Yeah.
in 21 years of teaching, and you were in there somewhere.
Yeah, I remember that. It just seems like yesterday. Like as we're talking, it just seems like I'm back in your basement. We're all sitting around the development circle. We're going into
Yep.
meditation, and now we start giving messages. And that was one of the things. When did it really start for you to start teaching? When did you make that decision to start teaching?
Well, I was forced into it, actually. I was an office administrator, and I worked very left-brained for vice presidents and presidents, and making sure they're on schedule, and making sure that if they need travel, that I would take care of all that, nuts and bolts stuff. And I then, of course, had children, and I decided I would go temping instead, so that way I could be with my kids if I needed to, if they needed me. And all of a sudden, I think everything just dried up, like no more contracts. And the only thing I could do was to read. And I'd been reading for friends, probably a good 20 years prior. Yeah, because I'm going into my 41st year. So yeah, yeah, I know. I started when I was 8. So, so yeah, I was thrown into it. And that's when it started in about 1999, and then 2000. That's when my mentor passed away, and she was my greatest teacher. She was my only teacher, and I just felt that she was always with me, and I think she was encouraging me to teach what she taught me. So that's pretty much how it went. It wasn't something that I said, okay, I'm going to do this. It was more like, you're doing it. So
Wow.
it started, yeah.
Yeah, and that was. I'm sure glad you did it because I surely appreciate all the work that you've done in your classrooms and stuff like that. Have you ever figured out how many students went through your doors?
No, I have no idea. I
Yeah,
have no idea. Yeah.
like
I'm,
it's got because it's got to be at least thousands of students at least. It's got to be over the 20 years.
yeah, yeah. But some of the students, they keep coming back. So
Oh,
I
okay,
have a class right now, a mediumship class, that most of the students have been with me for over 10 years.
okay,
Yeah. And then I've got the psychic development class that kind of cycles through. So there are a lot more people who just want to learn about the gift. And then there are those who are fully dedicated that are like in the mediumship class.
okay. So let's talk about the difference between the two because I think a lot of people sometimes get confused about that because you hear a lot of people call themselves psychic mediums, and then there's mediums. Now you run a psychic development class and a separate mediumship class. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's start with the psychic development class. So what separates that from your mediumship class?
Experience. I will not allow, this is just for me, but I will not allow new students to go into mediumship because you're working with spirit directly. Whereas in psychic development, you're working with your guides, and it's about the people that you see. So it would be reading, about love life, finances, health, anything to do with the person sitting in front of you. Whereas with mediumship, it's about linking in with the loved ones who've crossed over to the client that's come to see you. And if Uncle Joe was not a very nice person, you're going to feel that. In my mediumship, I've actually been blinded. I've had a heart attack. I've lost my hearing. And it sounds awful, right? But it's split seconds. And it doesn't hurt me. It's just more like, oh, what's that? And it's them, spirit world, saying, I was blind in one eye. There was one time my thumb was pricked and it was so sore. And I said, oh my God, what happened to my thumb? It feels like somebody pricked me. And the woman said, oh, that's my grandmother. She was a diabetic, So they will work with me because I've allowed it. I want this to work directly with spirit. But you can see how that could really put off a new student. So I will never have a new student in a mediumship class, not without full understanding of their spirit guides, how they work with them. And some mediums will work through their spirit guides to get to the client's spirit people. You still have to know who you're working with.
Okay.
Guides. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always wondered about that process. So basically you want to make sure that they're ready to understand and develop that, because you don't want them walking into, I mean, because it is crazy. Listen, I know full well how crazy it can be, and and the effects of it too as well.
Mhm.
Now,
Yes.
the one thing I really liked about your class is it really is a very good progression of information, and also practice too as well. You're very much into the practicality of it, as much as we are doing learning stuff, but we're practicing the craft all the time, which I really love.
Yep, that's the truth. I mean, practice makes perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
And in the classroom, if something goes amiss, then I'm on it, and I can, in the moment, tweak it with the help of my guides to make it better for experience for the student. So it's very dynamic. It's constant. I remember when I first started out, I actually had to have a nap every night that I would teach. I would have a nap in the day. And what I found out was they were downloading information so that I could teach the students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting your lesson plan downloaded to you.
Yes, through the guides. I know that sounds really bizarre, but you know what? It happened for years, and now it doesn't happen so much anymore. It's actually in the moment. But a lot of my students, see, I can't see directly. I can see here, but a lot of my students in the mediumship classes, there's somebody standing behind you. And I know, like in the light, and I know it's my mentor. She's always with me when I'm teaching.
Yeah. So it was a reverend. Was it Reverend somebody?
Reverend Sadie Nickerson, yes.
That's it. Because I remember you mentioned to her. Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you do your training in Lilydale? Was that what? No. How did you meet her?
I met her. It was very strange. I had a really negative message from a very well-known medium who said I was going to be marrying an alcoholic and my kids would be going to jail. And it was just horrid. It was just like I came out there with tunnel vision. And this woman was very well respected in the community. She worked with the police. She did, like cold cases and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, I got out of there and I was just like tunnel vision. I felt like I was going to faint. So we went, my sister and I, she took me to see this woman. We left and we went for retail therapy. And I was remember Eaton's department store? Remember when
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So I picked up a set of sheets that were twins. And what I needed was a set of doubles, but out of my mouth says, I've got to find a medium.
That's hilarious.
And the only person I can think of was my father. Now, my father was very close to the best British man. And I thought, why in heaven's name would I be thinking about him? But I thought, you know what? I'm so desperate. I'm calling. So I said, Dad, this is what's happened to me. Can you help me? And he says, yeah, I'll take you to my psychic. And I went, my psychic? You go to a psychic? He goes, yeah, I've been going for years. Oh, and it gets even more freaky. You should know what goes, both sides of the family are.
Okay. Hey, we got time. This is what it's all about. Yeah.
Knowing. I didn't know that my family was so into this, but anyway, so he took me to Sadie. And I remember walking up a flight of stairs. She was standing at the top of the stairs and there was like a window behind her. And she looked like, that aura, that, imperial margarine kind of look, right? And she took me into her kitchen. It was just an arborite table with, the chrome chairs. And she took my hands and I burst into tears.
Wow.
I'd never met the woman before. And she said, let's start again. And she gave me the most beautiful reading. And I thought, I wonder if I can do this.